All right, so Neuralink, that company Elon Musk founded,
Yeah.
wants to connect our brains to computers. It's been generating a lot of buzz for a while now.
Right.
And this recent news about their third successful human implant is seriously amping up the conversation.
Yeah.
This isn't just another tech headline. This is a signal that this technology is evolving way faster than many people expected. So let's break down what we know, explore the potential, and unpack the really, really big questions this raises.
Yeah, I think it's important to start by understanding what a brain-computer interface, or BCI, actually is.
Okay.
In the simplest terms, it's a device that allows your brain to communicate directly with a computer, bypassing the usual pathways like nerves and muscles.
Okay, so instead of using your hands to type or your voice to speak, you could potentially just think a command
Right.
and have a computer carry it out.
Exactly.
Whoa.
And Neuralink's approach is particularly ambitious.
Okay.
They're developing a tiny implantable device with thousands of electrodes that can both record and stimulate brain activity.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So this third implant, what makes it such a big deal?
Well, for starters, it confirms that their technology is consistently working in humans.
Right.
Remember, they only received FDA approval for human trials last year. So to have 3 successful implants already is a significant achievement.
It's kind of crazy to think that there are now 3 people out there living with this tech inside their heads. But what are they actually using it for? Are they all walking around controlling robots with their minds?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
What's intriguing is that 2 of the patients are using the implants for activities that many of us do every day, gaming and computer-aided design.
Wow.
This hints at the broader potential of BCIs moving beyond just restoring basic function to actually enhancing our abilities and interactions with technology.
I can see how that would be a game changer for people with disabilities, offering them a whole new level of independence and control. But it also makes you wonder about the possibilities for those of us without disabilities. Could we all be super gamers or design prodigies with a Neuralink implant?
That's a question that gets to the heart of the ethical and societal implications of this technology, which we'll definitely explore later on.
Okay.
But before we get there, it's important to acknowledge that Neuralink isn't the only player in the DCI game.
Right. So what's the competition looking like?
Well, there's a lot of exciting research happening globally with over 45 clinical trials involving BCIs currently underway. One company making waves is Synchron.
That's okay.
They've taken a less invasive approach, developing a BCI that's inserted through blood vessels rather than requiring open brain surgery.
Okay, so no drilling into the skull with Synchron.
Right.
How does their technology actually work?
Their device, called the stentrode, is a tiny mesh tube containing electrodes. It's implanted in a vein that runs close to the brain's motor cortex, the area responsible for movement. Once in place, the stentrode can pick up brain signals and transmit them wirelessly to an external receiver.
That's incredibly clever.
Yeah.
So are they achieving similar results to Neuralink with this less invasive method?
They've shown impressive results in early trials, with patients able to control computers and assistive devices using their thoughts. One notable case involved a patient with ALS who was able to regain some independence by using the stentrode to communicate and control his wheelchair. However, it's important to note that Synchron's technology is currently focused on motor control, while Neuralink aims to be more versatile, targeting a wider range of brain functions.
So different approaches, different strengths. It sounds like this field is exploding with innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other companies pushing the boundaries of BCIs in interesting ways?
Absolutely. Another company worth mentioning is BlackRock Neurotech.
Okay.
They've been in the BCI game for a while now and have a unique approach that combines neural recording with stimulation.
Wait, so they can both read brain signals and send signals back into the brain?
Exactly.
What?
Their technology allows for what's called bidirectional communication with the brain, opening up a whole new realm of possibilities.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction. What kind of applications are they exploring with this bidirectional technology?
Well, one area where they've made significant progress is in restoring sensory feedback. Imagine someone with a prosthetic limb being able to actually feel sensations through the prosthetic.
Wow, that would be incredible. It seems like each of these companies is tackling the BCI challenge from a different angle, and each approach comes with its own set of benefits and limitations.
It's a really dynamic landscape, and the fact that we have such a diversity of approaches is ultimately a good thing. It drives innovation and pushes the boundaries of what's possible.
Right, so we've got a good grasp of who the major players are and what they're up to. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about why this technology is causing such a stir. What are the potential benefits that have people so excited about BCIs?
Well, the most immediate and compelling applications are in the realm of healthcare, particularly for people living with disabilities. For individuals with paralysis, for instance, BCIs offer the possibility of regaining movement, controlling assistive devices, and interacting with the world in ways that were previously unimaginable.
That's the kind of stuff that gives you goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Giving people back their independence, their ability to move and communicate, that's truly life-changing.
It is, and it goes beyond just motor function. BCIs hold immense potential for treating a wide range of neurological disorders, including stroke, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, and even Alzheimer's. Imagine being able to bypass damaged neural pathways and restore lost cognitive abilities.
It's like hitting the reset button on the brain.
In a way, yes. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. As the technology advances, we could see even more incredible applications emerge. Things like enhanced memory, improved learning abilities, and even direct brain-to-brain communication.
Hold on, brain-to-brain communication. Like telepathy.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Researchers have already demonstrated the ability to transmit simple thoughts and sensations between brains using BCIs.
Okay, that's officially mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But while all of this sounds incredibly promising, I can't help but wonder about the potential downsides. Are there risks or ethical concerns that we need to be aware of as this technology develops?
Absolutely. And that's what we'll dive into next. Because as exciting as the potential benefits are, we need to proceed with caution and carefully consider the implications of merging our minds with machines.
It's easy to get swept up in all the excitement about potential benefits.
Right.
But what about the risks? You know, hacking into someone's bank account is one thing.
Yeah.
But what happens when we're talking about hacking into someone's brain? That's a whole other level of vulnerability.
It's a valid concern and one that researchers and ethicists are grappling with as we speak. When you have a device that can read and potentially even influence brain activity, the implications for privacy and security are huge.
So how do we even begin to address those concerns? Are there any safeguards being put in place?
One of the key areas of focus is data security.
Right.
Developers are working on robust encryption methods and security protocols to protect brain data from unauthorized access.
Okay.
Think of it like the most advanced cybersecurity measures, but for your thoughts.
Okay, that sounds promising. But what about the potential for misuse by governments or corporations? Could this technology be used for surveillance or even manipulation?
Those are precisely the kinds of questions that ethicists are raising, and for good reason. We need to establish clear guidelines and regulations around the use of DCIs to prevent these dystopian scenarios from becoming reality.
Right.
Imagine a world where your thoughts could be monitored, your emotions manipulated, or your decisions influenced without your consent.
Yeah.
That's a future we absolutely want to avoid.
It's like something straight out of a science fiction thriller, but it feels uncomfortably close to reality.
Right.
Are there any organizations or initiatives working to address these ethical concerns?
Yes, there are organizations like the IE, which sets standards for many technologies, are developing ethical guidelines specifically for BCIs. Yeah. These guidelines focus on principles like transparency, user autonomy, and data privacy.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but about how we use it, who controls it, and what safeguards we put in place.
Yeah.
It feels like we're at a crossroads where we need to be incredibly thoughtful about the choices we make today to ensure we're shaping a future we actually want to live in.
You've hit the nail on the head. We're in the early stages of a technological revolution, and with any revolution, there are both incredible opportunities and significant risks.
Right.
It's up to all of us, not just scientists and policymakers, to engage in these conversations, to demand transparency and accountability, and to ensure that BCIs are developed and used in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in this BCI evolution?
I think the next few years will be crucial in determining the trajectory of this technology. We'll likely see continued advancements in the capabilities of BCIs, with devices becoming smaller, more powerful, and capable of interfacing with a wider range of brain functions.
So even more sophisticated than what we're seeing today.
Absolutely. And as the technology matures, we'll need to see robust clinical trials to demonstrate both safety and efficacy.
Right.
The FDA and other regulatory bodies will play a key role in ensuring that BCIs meet rigorous standards before they're widely available.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want people rushing to get brain implants without knowing the long-term effects.
Exactly. And alongside the technological advancements, we'll need to see continued progress on the ethical and societal front.
Yeah.
Developing clear guidelines for data privacy, security, and responsible use will be paramount. We also need to have open and honest conversations about the potential implications of this technology for our society, our economy, and even our very sense of self.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around. But it feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with BCIs.
Oh.
What are some of the more futuristic applications that researchers are exploring?
Well, one area that's generating a lot of buzz is the idea of cognitive enhancement.
Okay.
Imagine being able to boost your memory, learn new skills faster, or even access information directly from the internet using a BCI.
It sounds like science fiction.
Okay.
But I guess with the pace of innovation in this field, anything is possible. But if we're talking about enhancing our brains with technology, it raises some fundamental questions about what it means to be human. What happens to our individuality, our creativity, our very essence if we start merging with machines?
Those are profound questions and ones that philosophers and ethicists are already debating.
Right.
Some argue that human enhancement is a natural progression, that we've always sought to improve ourselves through tools and technology. They believe that BCIs could help us overcome our limitations and unlock our full potential.
It's a compelling argument. But I can also see the other side, the concern that we might lose something essential about ourselves if we become too reliant on technology to feel and experience the world.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers. But that's precisely why it's so important to have these conversations now while the technology is still evolving.
Yeah.
We need to consider the potential benefits and risks, the ethical implications, and the long-term consequences of merging our minds with machines.
This is a deep dive in every sense of the word. We've covered a lot of ground from the technical advancements to the ethical considerations. And it's clear that BCIs have the potential to reshape our world in profound ways.
We've only just begun to explore the possibilities, and it's an exciting, albeit somewhat daunting, journey.
I think it's safe to say that this conversation is far from over. As we continue to delve into the world of BCIs, we'll need to keep asking tough questions, challenging assumptions, and engaging in thoughtful dialogue to ensure that this technology is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create collectively through the choices we make today.
So to all of you listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep the conversation going, because the future of BCIs, and perhaps the future of humanity itself, depends on it. It feels like we've been going down this rabbit hole, exploring a future that was once pure science fiction, but is rapidly becoming our reality.
Right.
And honestly, it's a bit overwhelming to think about all the potential ramifications of BCIs, both positive and negative.
It's definitely a lot to process. We're essentially talking about a technology that could fundamentally alter what it means to be human.
Yeah.
It's not just about treating diseases or enhancing our abilities. It's about blurring the lines between our minds and machines.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of the anxiety stems from, right? This fear of losing our individuality, our autonomy, the very essence of what makes us human. It's like, where does the human end and the machine begin?
That's the core question, isn't it? And there's no simple answer. It challenges our understanding of consciousness, free will, even the soul. But I think it's important to remember that we as humans have always been tool makers.
Right.
We've always sought to extend our capabilities, to overcome our limitations.
Yeah.
Whether through language, art, or technology. In a way, BCIs could be seen as the next step in that evolutionary journey.
So instead of fearing this merging of minds and machines, we could view it as a natural progression of our species.
It's a perspective worth considering. Think about the invention of the printing press, the telephone, the internet. Each of these technologies dramatically changed the way we communicate, think, and interact with the world. They disrupted existing power structures, created new possibilities, and ultimately reshaped human society. BCIs have the potential to do the same, perhaps on an even grander scale.
It's a bit mind-boggling to think about the long-term implications. But if we embrace this evolution, if we approach it thoughtfully and ethically, could BCIs actually help us solve some of humanity's biggest challenges?
That's the hope, isn't it? Imagine a world where we could leverage the power of BCIs to enhance communication, foster empathy, bridge cultural divides. What if we could use this technology to address climate change, to develop sustainable energy sources, to find solutions to global poverty?
It's an incredibly optimistic vision, but it's one that I find myself drawn to. I guess the question is, how do we ensure that we're steering this technology in the right direction?
It all comes down to choices, to values.
Yeah.
We need to be very intentional about the kind of future we're creating with BCIs. We need to have open and honest conversations about the potential benefits and risks, the ethical dilemmas, the societal implications. We need to involve diverse voices in the decision-making process, not just scientists and engineers, but ethicists, philosophers, artists, religious leaders, people from all walks of life.
It's a collective effort then, not just a technological challenge, but a human one.
Precisely. We're writing a new chapter in the human story, and it's up to all of us to shape the narrative.
I think that's a powerful message to end on. We've explored the potential of BCIs, the risks, the ethical complexities, and the profound questions they raise about the future of our species. It's been a fascinating, thought-provoking deep dive, and I hope it sparks some reflection and maybe even a few healthy debates among our listeners.
And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create collectively through the choices we make today.
So to all of you listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep the conversation going, because the future of BCIs and perhaps the future of humanity itself depends on it.